Hi everyone, welcome to Technology. On today's session, I'll be walking you through SSH keygen and push into repository. Alright, let's see how we can be able to do that, guys. So we go over to SSH keygen and push into repository. So what is SSH keygen? SSH-keygen is a command line utility used for generating cryptographic key pairs for the secure shell, which is SSH protocol. Alright, so what's the purpose of this SSH? You know, SSH is an access credential for SSH Secure Share Network Protocol. This authenticated and encrypted secure network protocol is used for remote communication between machines and unsecure open network. You know, you can use SSH for file transfer, network management, and remote operating system access. So prerequisite, if you don't have a GitHub account, you need to have a GitHub account. You should have created your GitHub account before now. But if not, you can just do that right here by clicking on this link, and it's gonna take you to GitHub whereby you create your GitHub. It's quite simple. Just your username and password, and that's all you need. Alright, so step number one, log into your GitHub and create repository. Alright, so let's go over to GitHub. This is my GitHub account. So let's create a repository. How do you create repository? Click on new right here, or you can as well click here, depend. Alright, so let's go through and create new repository. So what do we call this repository? Step number two, enter the repo name as my GitHub job. So you can as well copy this and go right back and paste it. Alright, so make sure it's available, and it can be any name anyway, but let's use GitHub job for the purpose of this training. And the description, let's say my GitHub sample job. So that depends on whatever you are working on. And public or private, let's make it private this time. Public HTTPS, anyone can actually download it as long as they have the URL. Alright, click on private, click on readme, and click on create repository. Just simple like that. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction, and we all got this thing done. And step number three, click on your avatar right on the screen from the drop down. We are going to settings, right? Alright, go right here, click on the avatar and go all the way to settings, and go all the way down to SSH and GPG keys. Click on that, and let's go back to the instruction and see. Alright, so we got that done. Click on SSH and GPG keys and click on new SSH keys. Alright, so I'm gonna click on new SSH keys. Although I have that done before, but let me delete this so and do that again because I'm using the same machine. Alright, so click right here and let's go back so we don't skip. Alright, so we got that done. Step number four, go to your CL terminal, run SSH keygen and press enter 4 times. Do not give any password because it's gonna show you that. So let's see how that goes. Click copy and go back to your CLI. And before that, make sure you log on to your Ubuntu server or any operating system that you want to use. So this is my Ubuntu. Let's clear that. Let me be sure. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction. What do we need to do? Let's generate SSH keygen. All right, copy that, go back and paste SSH key gen. This is how you generate your public key for your server. Okay, you only need to create it one time on the server and it will be right there. Anytime you need it, all you need to do is to navigate to go down to the directory and copy the key. And in my case, I've done that. But in your case, if you haven't done that before, this is all you need to do. SSH dash keygen and press 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand? But in my own case, it already exists because I already generated the key previously. So all I'm gonna do right now is to go down to where the key is stored and copy it. All right. So what is the command to do that? That's what take us to step 5. Copy the content of the public key by executing the below commands on your git bash or terminal. It's the same thing. All right, sudo cat is to reveal. Remember when we did basically Linux command, and you know what cat do. Cat is to reveal. This is the directory where the public key is stored. SSH/IDRSA pub. So copy that and go to where I have my public key. So like I say, generate one time, and here you go. So all I need right now is to copy this, go back to my SSH on my repository. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to be able to connect our server, which is Ubuntu, to our remote repository so they can both connect together, then they can communicate. All right, so let's see. So step 6, go to click on add new key from step 5 and paste the content of the public key. All right, so I already copied that and go right back here and paste. Give it title as SSH key gen. So okay, that's where copy it is. And you can actually name it anything, it doesn't matter. What actually matter is your public key. All right, so authentication key. So click on add SSH key. Now, this is when my EC2 or whatever server or whatever operating system, even your local system, that means your direct computer, you can as well generate the SSH key through the terminal and add it to your repository. This is when your server and your repo integrated to communicate together. All right, so let's go see how that works. So step number 7, go back and click on the repo you created in step number 1. Click on code and copy the SSH URL. All right, so let's go back to our repository. So click on that, your repository. If you have different repository, this is where they're gonna be. All right, so the one we just created is my GitHub job. So click on that, go and click on the code, and this time around we're not copying HTTPS. Remember on the past session we use public. That means your repository is open, anybody that has a link or the URL can actually download. So SSH is a secure shell, so that's the reason why we integrated our server CLI to our remote repository so they can be able to communicate without using password and all that. All right, so copy that. And what do we need to do? So step 8, go back to your EC2 terminal and execute the below command. So we actually need to clone. We created a repository. Let's say you want to create the repository for a developer. Probably developer already has something to actually push from their local system. So you can actually do this, create repository. Remember, it's empty. So developer is the one who's gonna push the code into it. All right, so this is the how they're gonna do that. You provide a link to them, and let's clone. Let me clear my screen. So git clone and paste your SSH repo and hit enter. Bingo. So now you see that we do not need any password, and our Ubuntu can easily download from our GitHub repo easily. So let's verify that. ls, you should see my GitHub job. So remember, it's empty, right? All right, let's go back to the next step. So it will ask you yes, type yes, we already done that. Type ls to confirm we got that done. All right, step number 9. Navigate to my GitHub job repo directory. So cd and the name of the repo. All right, copy that. All right, so now we are inside my repo. What you're gonna see, read me. All right, so that means we have the same repository from our GitHub downloaded to our server, to our EC2 Ubuntu server. All right, so this is how a developer is gonna do, and developer is gonna develop, add whatever they want to add on here, and by the time it's done, it's gonna push the code or whatever it is back to the remote repository, and that's what we're trying to do. All right, so step number 10, let's create a test file. All right, so how do you create empty test file? You use touch. Remember, basic Linux command. Touch is to create this, and it's gonna be empty. Nothing's gonna be inside. So that's why we're gonna use nano test editor to keep this code or write this code in it. You can as well run this straight, but I just need you guys to know what touch do. So click that. You can as well run nano code. Is gonna be the same. Remember how we did on the past. So touch is used to create a test file. All right, so touch code.txt. All right, so that's created. If I do ls now, I should see that, but there's nothing in it. It's empty. All right, so that takes us to step number 11. Open a nano editor and copy and paste the below code. All right, so this is the code, but this is gonna be from developer. Remember, we just be making it. So use nano code. Let me clear my screen. So nano code.txt. Remember, we already have code.txt. So nano and the name of whatever you wanna edit. Open now is open. So you can type or write whatever you wanna write on it or copy. So let's copy this code. Go right back here and paste. So how do we save? Control O is to save. Control X is to exit. So Control O, enter, Control X, you out. All right, so that means we have something in this code. So let's check it out. Cat code.txt. All right, so you guys see what we have inside. So cat is to review. All right, so let's clear my screen, and that takes us to the next step. We got this done. And step number 12, to see if the new file is being tracked by Git or not. How do you check Git status? So run Git status to see if the code is being tracked by Git, which is not, of course. We just set this up. How do we stage this file? Let's stage it by using git add period. So you can as well type the name, but since that's the only thing we got on here, we can use period. So git add period and enter. So now Git already staged this code.txt. So how do you do that? Git status, let's check. All right, so now new file. So this file is being recognized by Git. So how do we save it? That takes us to step 13. Git commit flag M mean message. All right, so copy that. Git commit is to save. Remember, we haven't saved. All right, so paste that and the message inside the code. So project in GitHub, we can as well use that, or you can use any message you want on here. All right, so git commit plugin and the message. All right, so you see git save that in our repository. Remember, we have clone repository, right? Whatever we have on here right now is not yet on our remote repository. So how do we make this available to anyone to be able to use from our repository? So whatever we've integrated with our repository can actually pick the code and build it. All right, so the developer will need to push it back to the repository and make sure that it's all right there. So how do we do that? That takes us to step 14, git push. All right, so copy or type that git push whatever we have on here, the code.txt, into our remote repository. That's when it's going to be available online. All right, so git push and bingo. So remember, when we are using HTTPS on public URL, it required us username and password to be able to push into our repository. But this time around, it doesn't require that because we already secure them together directly. That's why it's not asking that. So that's how it works. So now go to your GitHub repository and refresh. Then you should see the code on there. So let's go back right here. So if I refresh now, what am I going to see? Code.txt. So basically, this is how it's done. So remember, developer, you created this empty repository and you provided a link back to the developer, and developer can as well, shoot it to the remote repository. So this is how it works. So now that the code is available, whatever tools you already integrated with your GitHub can pick up the code and build. So that's how it works. All right, so basically that's all about it. So this brings us to the end of this session, guys, and I hope you learn. Thanks.